45 minutes. So if I talk fast, it's really because there's so much information, but the upside to this is we have, and I think Tatiana or Carly will be able to tell me, we have some breakout sessions that we'll be able to go into each one of these specifically. So if you have questions, we can field some of them here. But ultimately, there'll be people downstairs or next door, I'm not sure. We'll find out. Where 9 in Salon 9 that will be able to answer some of the questions specifically if you have them. But I know Tatiana's got little cards for me to go, but I'm going to time myself because I will. For those who know me, who are already smiling at me, know that I can get distracted a little bit. I have a little ADD and have a little bit of trouble staying on task and tend to go off on tangents. Do you know that to be true? Okay, service solutions. Service solutions. Okay, wait a minute, back up. So my first tangent already is, what kind of industry do you think we're in right now? Are we in a, would you say it's difficult, problematic, and everybody wants a discount? Or are we in a growth, opportunity, and exciting industry?
Yes.
Syra, you're a great student. All the above, really. I mean, we have terrible reimbursement problems. We have very large insurance companies trying to keep their money more than we're trying to get from them. And we have, obviously, in all of those times, then there are great opportunities for quality companies. And somebody said earlier when we were talking, some companies are just kind of, I don't remember the exact term, I call it turtling, and they're just shutting down and waiting for something to come up. And those guys, I think, are dodo birds. Really, they are, Ice Age, remember? Okay, who has kids? Come on. The dodo birds, the dodo bird just runs off the edge and the rest of them all go with them. Those guys are a lot of the industry that we have right now because they're just stuck in their ways and they're not really looking at a service solution. And I would suggest that the service solution, in plain words, it's service. Because if you simply do what you've been doing up until now, we all run calls well. We do that every day good. We have great people. You know, no offense, but we call them Labrador Retrievers. They are great people. They want to do the right thing. You know, you throw the ball, they bring it back, and they do great. And sometimes, you know, you go tell them to, you know, weed, and they pull up the flowers too. But they didn't mean to. They told them to dig a hole, so they dug the big hole, and they got the flowers also. But ultimately, what we're trying to do now is figure out how do we change what we're doing. We can't just respond to a call anymore. That's not enough. We do that all well. So remember, there was a lot of service before, and then we went to self-serve. You can't. Is there anywhere that you can pull up to a gas station now and they'll pump the gas for you? It's all self-serve. And is there? Where? Oh, no. Jersey doesn't count. Nobody from Jersey can talk because you guys are an aberration in life. So you're not allowed to pump your own gas in Jersey. How insane is that?
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
They charge us less.
Okay. You know, I'll leave Jersey alone. But anyways, so we're coming back to service, and service is one of those things now that we actually have to pay attention to. That's going to set us apart. So the way I looked at service is we thought that there were three things inside the service world that we needed to be able to do. We needed to service our people. We needed to make sure we were efficient and saving money. And then we also needed to be able to provide innovation technology to make us more efficient. And then we also need to bring value to the people that we're dealing with, right? So who are those? The hospital clients. How many people think the hospitals and the industry around the hospital organization administrations are the smartest, brightest people in the world? All right, so you guys are a smart group then. They actually know what they do really well, but when they get in our market, they're looking for guidance. There's no question. They want somebody to help them get better at what they do. So the first thing inside here is that we thought we would save money on, and it's been along and coming. And this is available to everybody. It's free. It's maybe we should charge, because then maybe more people will do it. A lot of times if you charge for something, people have more value for it. But the Redline store is the brainchild of the group, the administrative group, to actually drive money into our vendors to make sure they're more successful. Obviously, the more successful they are, the lower the prices are. The lower the prices are, the more successful we are, and that goes right to our bottom line. Who has the little clicker thing? Oh, never mind. Got it right here. So what we did is created a real easy menu. I'm going to blow through this. Tyler right here. And he's going to have this set up in the breakout room, and you can go through it with him. But ultimately what it is, we all have people that are slightly conflicted when we purchase things, and why they do it, who they do it with, how many they do. All of those things are variables. Some of our people are spectacular, some people not so spectacular. But ultimately what ends up happening, and almost all of us in the core group have recognized that we need some other control mechanisms to help save money. This was set up so that you can have any number of vendors. You basically open it up and pick all of the products that you want. And once you close it back down, whoever you give the opportunity to buy from, if they want those like blue, armored nitrile gloves that go up to here that are $7 a pair, they're fantastic gloves, don't get me wrong, I've seen somebody wear them once. But they don't necessarily need those. They're not available on the website. They can't order it. And they can order only what you, from an administrative perspective, have put up for them. This is one of the early on things that allows you to save money. Have any of your guys ever got tickets to basketball games? Oh, I don't know. Maybe a free iPad. Where's John? Oh, John's not there, but free iPads, all these things that are conflicting why they're buying things. And although I believe purchasing people should get a benefit, that's one of the perks, but they shouldn't get a benefit in lieu of you getting a great price. They should get the benefit and get a great price. This is one of those ways to help them do that. And we can set this up so that, don't get me wrong, we can't set it up. We will help you set it up so that you can manage it yourself. But ultimately then, when your group sends off one of these things to be purchased, it has an approval. And you can set up the approval. Yes, no, all the way down. It can go to a supervisor, then go to the manager. Tyler knows this, and he's smiling at me because I actually don't know too much about this because it's brand new. But I promised I would talk about it. And then, obviously, it will actually let you pick which vendors, how many you have, you name it. Completely flexible and allows us to direct the spend to the people that are giving us the best prices instead of potentially the person that makes it easiest for your guy to buy stuff. So if it's easy to buy, is it the best price? Possibly. Probably not. One of the first vendors we had a long time was a spectacular sales rep, and she would come by and we bought from her all the time, and I'm pretty sure it had nothing to do with her prices. So that probably doesn't happen in your organizations, but if it does, then you probably need something like this. That's where you go for the information. Tyler, again, wave your hands. This is what he does, and he's worked with the software guys in development and Steve Waldron to put all this together. So this is completely off topic. Here's mine. Service solutions to deliver. Again, we're talking about service, period. Service, 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 not just a solution. One of the things that happens when you're doing, you're providing something, people get software. Software is not that great without somebody driving or managing it. So it doesn't matter whether you use TripViewer, BedViewer, NetTransit, whatever the software program is. If you don't have somebody behind it helping your culture go, then ultimately it's just a software program. So what we want to do is make sure that when you're pushing these products out to people, that you obviously want to make sure that it has value to them. If you're not talking to them about what's important to your customer, doesn't really matter what you're giving to them. You're selling something, but they're not buying. And one of the things, it took us 10 years to figure this out, is actually stop talking and start listening, and they would tell us what they were looking for. And some of those products have now evolved us into being partners with our hospitals instead of just vendors. And going from a vendor to a partner, this is a new world at that point, because they're moving with you and they're actually asking and consulting as time goes by how things are going. I'm just checking to see how far behind I am. One of the things is, remember we were talking about if you can actually provide them with a solution, what are they? We use a certain number of certain products, but the product, again, remember, is only I think a byproduct of what your culture or what you're giving them as a solution. It's only as good as you are. TripViewer, Concierge Program, RTP Path, BedViewer, Mobile Medical, all these things are going to be demoed in the little breakout session room. But our goal is for anything we do is truly to be a win-win. And that's not normally what happens in industry. Usually a win to you means more work for the other person. And if you ever talk to hospitals, one of the few things that they're just intimately afraid of is when you roll out a program, and the hospital's done that. You've seen it with ESON and Allscripts and all of these case management programs they do. Whenever you talk to them, they don't want to give you a moment of their time, because your economy, your win becomes more work for them. And this is where probably a lot of our success has been. We didn't look for just a win for us. What we looked for was a win for the hospital or whoever was using the product. And that's where we went back to service. We said, listen, if you can make sure that you have a service-related system, then they'll buy into it. Well, we rolled out Stanford Hospital and Lucille Packard, and at the time, we were probably capturing maybe 45 or 50% of the business. We have a model where we'll call any provider in the region from an ITS, Integrated Transport Solutions perspective, and we'll call any provider to make sure they're on time. Because again, we're talking about service. We're not trying to keep all the money. And at the time, we were giving a lot of money away to other providers. Since we actually implemented the TripViewer program and they bought into it, about 81% of all the calls go through TripViewer. Well, if all the calls were going to the other guys, and I haven't upped any units, but now 81% of them are coming in because our client can now see the forest through the trees, can pick an open slot for us the time that they wanted, the unit they wanted, and with the ETA that they wanted, but they give us money to be there at the time that they wanted at their time, at their level of service. Isn't that kind of the win-win that we were looking for? I didn't have to actually say, not that this ever happens, but they call you up and they say, okay, what time is available? We say 11. They go, how about 1? We say 12. They go, how about 1:30? We say 2. How about 1:15? They're always looking for the same thing. But what we did is we put in front of them a front-facing website that allows them to make the decisions instead of us making it for them. And that was really the solution that we thought was going to be, I don't know, not revolutionary for us, but ultimately give them the opportunity to be able to pick the time. How simple. It looks like a schedule. Confusing maybe a little bit? I don't know. You ever look at your CAD? Just lines and lines of stuff, and you have a spectacular dispatcher, that dispatcher can find the forest through the trees. Well, what if they can't find the forest through the trees? Can you find an open white spot? That's what we figured was much easier. And we didn't need people that were spectacular at doing something. Find an open white spot. And then better yet, guess what? I can let my clients look at it. And my clients can look at it and find an open white spot. Well, if I'm already at a utilization, maybe we get a good 4 utilization or 5 utilization during the day, and they have oh, I don't know, looks like they have 2 hours right here, 2 hours available. The dispatcher can't see it because they're looking at 130 ambulances. They're spinning out of control, going, oh, I need more units. But there's a wide open spot that has 2 hours, and our client can look at it and put it on there. Is that free money to me, or is that going to cost me something? In my old world, that was going to cost me money because I gave it away. I had a network provider, couldn't see the forest of the trees, and the dispatchers don't panic. I know yours don't, mine don't, but occasionally they have a little rocky day, and they start throwing calls away. But what if the client can find it for you? Every half a utilization for us, every half, not one call, half a utilization a day, $1 million to our bottom line. $1 million. Somebody does $1 million or something. That's real money, and that's not the top line. That's the bottom line, because I've already amortized all my costs. My expenses are already there. I've paid my insurance. I've paid everything. Only nominally what I'm going to get, maybe a little bit of gas extra for going on that call, because I've already paid for everything. This isn't the only solution. We're talking about solutions, whatever you want to make the solution is. Anybody can do this. I think Tim talked about it earlier. We had some Chinese guys make this for us. I don't recommend that. It's very difficult. If you end up drawing pictures and take a long, long time to get anything out, just the language barrier and understanding things, way easier to talk to somebody like TraumaSoft and where they understand what's going on. But our first one of this was some Chinese group that actually just took our data from our CAD and portrayed it for our clients. Simple stuff. Not revolutionary, wasn't really anything that was spectacular, wasn't very complicated, and was very simple for them to do. What they did is they could actually put a call in about, it would take 3 or 4 minutes to put a call in, by phone. They can do it this way in 30 seconds. So it was easy for them. They didn't have to call us, they didn't have to get on hold, didn't have to do anything. Decrease our utilizations. We obviously had all the PCS requirements taken care of, all that good stuff. And then we could actually scale it and let other people see what was going on. We could let 2 hospitals see the same ambulance because they geographically could make it. But a lot of times our staff couldn't even see the forest of the trees because they had so many units in front of them. BedViewer was just kind of the next evolution for us, again, solving problems for our hospitals. And these are really, we stretched getting the names, TripViewer, BedViewer. It wasn't anything revolutionary for us, but we wanted to keep it simple. And what was one of the things that the hospitals are having problems with? Their census, throughput. A hospital is nothing really more from a business standpoint as a restaurant. They turn tables. A hospital turns beds, and that's how they make revenue, by moving patients out. When they get into problems and they have ED diversions. And ED diversion, if you look at most ED diversions, 90% of the ED diversions have to do with the bed, not the ED. They couldn't get the person off the 3rd floor, so the emergency room guy couldn't get up to the 3rd floor. So we started and said, hey, we can take BedViewer, looks a lot like TripViewer. We didn't get real bold here, and started helping them manage their beds. Well, what's the upside? Why would we do that? Why are you so crazy? Why would you give away something to the hospital? Well, guess what? I know when they're leaving now. Prior to this, I didn't know I could have a 400-bed hospital and take 5 calls a day or 15 calls in a day. How do you staff for that? This way I can know everybody who's leaving and when they're leaving, and guess what? If they want to schedule a trip, just click on it, shunts right to TripViewer, and it pulls their information in. So the upside to them was they were doing emails every single day and having census, and they would know in the morning, and they would know maybe now one of our hospitals is doing a half day, because the census is so important. Well, what if you can have it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I'm not doing it. If the computer does it for them, and they can see where their beds are moving, who's open, who's closed, what's in cleaning, what's going on, and it doesn't cost them anything. Because I'm not trying to make money off the software, I'm making money off of efficiency of me not having 15 units sitting outside a hospital that only has 2 calls that day, because nobody will tell me what's going on. So now I have real-time information allowing us to do this. We have 2 large hospital chains that have actually bought off. They wanted us, and that's why we got in. Still haven't rolled it out. Completely dysfunctional hospitals. They're still doing it on a whiteboard. And we said, hey, you want to roll this out? Oh, yeah, we want to roll it out. But we got this and this and this. But we still got the hospital, got the business, still haven't rolled it out for the biggest hospitals. Transportation Assistance Group, really just one of those things where, again, offering service to skilled nursing facilities because they don't have the wherewithal to do it. And of course, they'll schedule every single appointment, if possible, at 1 o'clock at your peak, because nobody can go at 12 and everybody can go at either 11 or 1. And how many appointments can you put on 11 or 1 for each unit? Just 1 on each one. So we started helping them do the appointments, and this a lot of times was for the low-end stuff. You know, I don't know what in your region, we get $16 for a wheelchair. So for us to be even remotely break even, I need 8 calls on that unit to be close to breaking even. But as a loss leader to be able to get the other business, we started doing tag and giving them some information that will allow us to be able to get the upper level business and BLS and CCT, regular transport, repetitive transport, stuff like that. So obviously helped us utilize our units a lot better. We went from, you know, and I would have to ask, maybe Jason would know, but I would suggest for probably about an 8 utilization in Modesto on wheelchairs.
Yeah, 7
So, and we don't do that. They schedule it for us, and we manage obviously the vehicles. But timeliness becomes a problem obviously when you start getting that many calls. But you start working with your clients to solve the solution because you want to. Their first problem is price across the board, almost all the time. How much is it going to cost me? Concierge. This is one of those things where it's exactly what it is. What does a concierge do at a hotel? Whatever you need. That's what we do. And ultimately, our problem is the same problem you have. It's the calls that are coming in. You don't want to create a barrier to entry to your clients, but you also want to be able to make sure you get paid on the clients. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to offer services to them where we can do advanced beneficiary notices, get their coverage limits, and so forth, so that we can have that conversation up front instead of retrospectively. And a lot of these guys will have, we'll transport somebody, we won't talk about the bill until what, 6 months later, when they're already gone and they're now saying, oh, I didn't know I had to pay $180. This gets us up front, we have the opportunity to, will it reduce some of our calls? Absolutely. But it's also the call that I most likely would have written off anyways. So I may as well have the conversation up front. And it's a different person. If you come to our office, we have a whole department now that we're going to move, and they're going to have, you know, big old high-back chairs and TVs where they can kick back and solve the problem. They won't be able to get off the phone without absolutely solving it. No more, oh, we'll call you back, we'll check with the insurance. They'll actually 3-way call the insurance and say, hey, so we thought it was medically necessary, Mrs. Stevens, and your doctor thought it was medically necessary. I'm confused why the insurance company doesn't think it's medically necessary. Let's get them on the phone. Let's talk to them. Well, we didn't disagree with you. It's always different when we're on the phone with them because normally they're, oh, no, we'll pay it, just submit the bill. They deny it for one reason or another. It's the same game. Again, most of those things, this isn't necessarily go back to our program and what's right for us. You know, what's it say? Plagiarism is the finest form of flattery. I don't know if that's necessarily true, but we're not necessarily the smartest and brightest people in the world. We've seen other ideas and probably modified them to what works in our industry. And I think that's one of the things that if we get anything from all this, is make sure that our ideas, no, there's not one way to do it. There's a whole bunch of ways to do it, but we should all be maximizing what our leverage is. And that was really what Redline was about. It was about technology, innovation, and collaboration. The GPO part was the first thing that we could get to, but the collaboration side of it, allowing us to see what we're good at and what we can do better from a group effort, was really how do you tangibly put, I just saved 6 months of investigation and work. It's priceless, quite honestly. How much money? We were talking earlier when Mike Waronka and we were looking for different programs, and he said, "Oh, I've already done that. It doesn't work." Oh my God! Thanks for telling me. I'm into this for $50,000 already, and now you're saying it doesn't work. That's what we need to be doing as from a service solution perspective, is not going down roads that don't help us well. We're good? Path, patient access transfer hub, millions of dollars. So remember what I was saying is that we want to save money, and we want to be able to help efficiency to increase our bottom line. And in this case, this one makes us money. Doesn't make us money, guess who it makes money for? When we're talking about service, well, who would we service? Our clients. This is one of those things where as ACOs, Medicare Advantage programs, people start getting back at risk, the hospitals get back at risk, which is very trendy these days. Hospitals doing it every single day. We have one of our largest clients, newest largest clients, has, I don't know, Dennis, how many hospitals?
46.
52, 46. Do I hear 60?
46 in California.
46 hospitals in California is one. This is one of our clients. And they had patients that would be outside laying in other hospitals. They couldn't get them back in. Because the hospital said, "Whoa, you got your money out here, run a bunch of tests." And it would take them a number of days. What ended up happening is we reduced this, worked with TraumaSoft, create a new algorithm where we could get everybody in the same place at the same time, and now took what was taking them 3 to 5 days at $3,000 a day, the lowest, $3,000 a day. We got them, we can make decisions on it, get the patient into the hospital, have the transfer done, and bring it back to get their money contained inside in about 25 to 40 minutes. $3 million is what their savings is going to be right now, just for the small group that we did right now, and we're going to roll it out to the larger group of hospitals after that. This wasn't about us making money. How are we still making money on this? We're not making money on selling the software. We're not making money on anything else. We're being the service solution for them. And guess what? Our primary book of business is to transport patients. Well, who goes and gets all those patients? And how far ahead do I know that the transport's happening now? I've been involved in the entire process. Where they're at, where they're going, who's approving the doctor, what the medical necessity was, what time they want to be picked up, and magically we have an ambulance there at that time because we've been involved the entire time. So we're more efficient, we have a higher quality utilization, have higher level of service that we're doing because most of these patients in a lot of instances ALS or CCT, and we capture them all and we're on time 100% of the time. They just go, I know the ambulance is coming, oh, they're here. How did that happen? Because normally, when are we called, kind of, they're just kind of looking, going, wait, where's the ambulance? And they, oh, somebody hasn't called you yet. So now we're considerably later. But ultimately, again, one of those things where we want to be able to offer service out to them, but it makes them money. Not just us money, it makes us more efficient. So this is kind of the highlights of the program. Remember that a lot of the hospitals are going to these things, ACOs, this will be one of the things. So ultimately, as you think where you're at in the market, are you going to respond to what's happening, or are you going to be in the conversation of how they're changing the industry? I would suggest that you're much better off being involved in the conversation, kind of dictating the pace. How do you become part of the solution? Instead of you're responding retrospectively, how do I save my business? Because if you're not a solution provider, then you're answering to somebody else. And you're probably going to have problems as time goes by because they're going to look for somebody that is creating solutions for them. Mobile medical is one of the things. Let me see if I have enough time to talk about this. I'm way ahead. Fine. Mobile medical is, so everybody knows we're getting older. That wasn't politically correct. Good. We're getting older and less fit. Is probably more accurate. And I would suggest that I think Obamacare and the stats are 50 million people are going to be entering the market over in the next few years. By the time 2020 comes around, all the boomers will be using service. Is there capacity in the hospitals for all these patients? There just isn't. There's not enough beds possible. So what will our job be? My suggestion is that you want to figure out how to keep people out of the hospital. And somebody would go, oh, you can't make any money doing that. No. There's actually more money keeping people out of the hospital than there is taking people to the hospital. If your ambulance or average ride is, we'll just leave it at $300. I know it's a little high for Medicare, but if you're $300 and you're pulling off 10%, you're making $30 on the call. Net, once you're all done. Well, what if you didn't have all that overhead and they actually would rather you take the patient? Oh, wait a minute. Does every patient that goes to the ER need to be in the ER? Or is that possibly, not that it's a revenue stream or anything, is that possibly the only way the hospital makes money? Is that you have to push them through the emergency room, they do their tests or do whatever they can do and then go out. What if they can make money or have a better bottom line if you didn't put them through the emergency room? That's what the ACOs are going to do. Remember, we're going back to, anybody have Kaiser in their region? Okay. Broken arm? A couple of Kaisers. Kaiser gets their money up front, and their job is to keep you out. That's going to be the ACO world. They're going to give money to people and inspire people to stay out of the hospital. Well, what do you do then? If our primary source of revenue is transporting people in, but the people paying are trying to keep them out, is that going to damage our profitability and our potential growth? Obviously it is. So our thought is that it's really easy at that point then to keep people out. The same people that are out there, they just need to move around to different places. Where do they need to go? Once they come out, what's the number one reason? Anybody know what the number one reason for going back to the hospital is? What?
Either infections.
For medical, that is. What's the real reason? Does anybody know? Do you know? Should have been discharged in the first place, probably, because they're discharged in a little early. It's actually, huh?
CYA.
Covering. No. It's actually they've just a failure to follow their care plan. Number one reason for going back to the hospital. So if you could send somebody out there and get them back on their care plan, would they pay you for that if they're penalized? The 24-hour readmit going away. You know about that. If you have a DRG, goes back to 24 hours, hospital has to pay. That's going to 30 days. Well, when it goes to 30 days and you have the same readmit problem, they're not going to want them back in the hospital. And the ACOs are also going to be incentivized, hey, keep them healthy. Kind of the whole idea inside mobile medical, we don't have any bullet points on this one? Okay. The idea behind mobile medical is that if somebody has medication compliance, what are they not compliant with? They didn't get it. It's not that it's not working. Most of them didn't get it. They couldn't get out of the hospital. They couldn't get it delivered to their house, whatever the case is. And we've picked them up. We have all had it. The pain control. They're out of, they didn't have, oh, did you take your medication? Oh, I didn't get it. Okay, back to the ER. You know, $2,000 going back to the ER to get them back on the medication that they didn't get that was already prescribed to them by the doctor at the pharmacy. So $2,000, you think possibly an accredited care organization that's at risk for that might give you a little bit of money to go pick up their medication? Not sure. We think so. How much will they give you? If it's just a tech that has something like that, can you make more than 30 bucks? At $175 to respond, and you solve their problem, save them $2,000, you're now going to margin up around $40, $45 a call. So you can actually make more money not running a call than running a call. It's not necessarily the way that's all going to go, but ultimately in some regions they're already having problems with this. Kaiser, that's what Kaiser advice is. Kaiser is the highest prescribing pharmacy benefit in the nation. Kaiser. They prescribe more medications than any other single entity. And you call up, if you have Kaiser, you call up, hey, here's a pill. Here's a pill. Does it work? I don't know. Every single one of their buildings in our region are growing and being built onto. I don't know if you consider that success, but ultimately they are gaining market share. Our suggestion is that a lot of these times when you're going in, does the patient need to go back to the hospital because they're not following the care plan? No, of course not. Do they need to go to physical therapy? Do they need an X-ray? Do they need some or other intervention that isn't at a hospital? Absolutely. Tons of money going to be spent this way. If you're not thinking about this, have some other idea, come up and tell me. I'd love to kind of go down that road with you. This is one of the things we're going to launch in one of our regions fairly soon. The technology's already there for this. Simple stuff, FaceTime, a lot of ability to be able to transmit data to doctors and do calls and so forth, back and forth. Our repetitive transport program, this is just a gold mine for us. A lot of people stay out of repetitives. We find them, go for them, and like it. Probably close to about $8 million in revenue for us for repetitive patients. There are some people here that go, I'll never do that. God bless you. Okay, that's fine. We'll do it, and we'll welcome it, and we'll welcome an audit. We've been audited. We had I want to say about $65,000, $70,000 taken back from us from Railroad. When it was all said and done, we net out about just under $80,000 because they had to pay us penalties and interest for giving us our money back because they were wrong and we were right. But you have to be good at your program. If you're not willing to invest where it can make you millions of dollars, a repetitive patient is an $80,000 a year patient. Is it worth putting a little time and energy into? Of course it is. These are patients that go all the time. You want this money. Are you afraid of the money? Probably a lot of people are. If you have a good program, does it make sense to actually go and get this money? You can't take patients that aren't supposed to go. That's the rule. Hello? But there are patients that need to go. And you need to document it well. This is pictures, now it's video for us. It's 3 layers of checks and balance that has nothing to do with the administration. Our quality assurance group has complete autonomy to downgrade and upgrade these guys, so it keeps us completely out of any kind of kickback or really clawbacks from the Medicare guys. Does it work? Absolutely. We've been doing it for 6 or 7 years. Never had a problem. They do not win against us. But you have to have a good program to do it. I'm not sure what that is. I think that was just all coming together. I'm done, right?
Yes.
So, questions? Comments? Anything?
Mike, on the tag, have you guys ever had it set up where you set the doctor's appointment, it fit into your schedule, you set the schedule, it notifies the facility that this is set, and they call you back and say, well, that's the rehab time.
Sure. Yeah. Ultimately, remember, we've got guys that are repetitive transfer. We're slightly different on if you look at our group. One side of our dispatch center, we call it a high priority pod. Our high priority pod takes care of bariatric patients, repetitive patients, and wheelchair patients. And a lot of other people, high priority pod is code 3, CCT. Hey, that stuff just goes. It goes fast, it goes good. Our biggest exposure and liability is our high priority pod. Repetitive patients, wheelchair patients that are low reimbursement, and bariatric patients, which are $15,000 per back injury. That's all there is to it. So we slow down on those and don't do it. But the repetitive group says, hey, what's going on? A lot of our people inside our repetitive group actually know the people at the SIFs, and they're going, so hey, how are you doing? I'm not kicking. They're like, Betty, what's up? How are you? These guys know each other so well. When they call back, they go, oh my God, there's a conflict? No problem. What a difference in, you be here. I'm going to cancel this call. We're going to cancel the contract. They don't have that conversation because we've lightened their load. They've gotten rid of this person. In general, a lot of SNFs are convalescent homes have somebody that's just arranging this stuff. Most of ours have gotten rid of them, and they use us for that. Well, the upside to that is that when there's a conflict, it's family. They're going, oh yeah, no problem, we'll rearrange it. What do we care? We still want to fit it in. When we call back and cancel the appointment, it's not on us, it's us fitting them back in. But guess what? It's not going at 1 o'clock because we're busy at 1 o'clock. We're talking to the doctor's office, and it's going when we're available. The doctor's appointment available when we're available. We marry those two. Nobody's marrying stuff on the outside. Normally they're not in it for us. They're in it for themselves, get off the phone, hang up, bye-bye. But now we have regularly do that. But they flow back and forth very well. And that's just the relationship building that you have to do. You have to give some stuff away? Absolutely. You need to be, and it goes back to service. If you're not a service provider, I think you're a dodo bird. If you haven't figured out how to start doing service, that's the differentiator in the industry now. We're all pretty much fixed price, so the difference is going to be what you provide in service. Any questions for that, yes? Questions? Comments? That's it. I'm out. All right. Thanks, you guys.